Hello, everybody, and welcome to Finding Your Innergator podcast, where we talk about discipline, relationships, and the habits that release the greatness that is already inside of you. I'm your host, Wright, and I am so glad that you're here. In each episode, we'll explore powerful lessons, real-life stories, and practical strategies to help you live intentionally, build meaningful relationships, and unlock your full potential. But greatness isn't something you stumble into. It's something that is built every single day. So let's get started and begin the journey to finding your Innergator. All right, hello everybody. This is RB Wright, and I am so glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening to Finding Your Innergator. You know, we talk about it all the time, that Gator, the acronym is greatness achieved through optimizing relationships. But when you break it down to the pillars, the G is you got to get clear. Every morning you got to get clear. A, you got to act with intention, with purpose. T, you've got to track it. I told you, if you measure it, you can manage it. And if you manage it, you can improve it. O is what was really the premise of everything we talk about, optimizing relationships. And then R, this is what most people forget. Every day, no matter what you're doing, every day, you've got to have time at the end of the day to reflect and reset. So when you get that sleep that night, you wake up in the morning and guess what? You're ready to get clear. We also talked about the daily disciplines, the discipline of the mind, right? Your health, your calendar. You got to control your calendar. We talked about relationships. That's a daily discipline. You'll always hear me talking about that. And when you do all those things, as we talked about last week with Allison, the money, the finance portion, it comes. And then you're able to have the freedom associated with that, and you also are able to have an impact. I told you last week, our emphasis, just about every episode, I've talked about a good dear friend of mine, and he's the one who actually introduced me to Allison probably 4 or 5 years ago, Zan Monroe. So I'm delighted today to have, actually for the first time on Finding Your Innergator, Zan Monroe. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Good to be with you again, as always.
Well, what people don't realize is we had this set up, and typically I get on, I say, all right, here's going to be the flow, blah, 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 blah. Zan and I have been talking for 50 minutes. Yep. We could have recorded that whole thing, Zan. It was great catching up with you, man. It was great catching up with you.
I just looked at the clock. I was like, oh, man, we've been on the phone an hour already.
Yeah, and I always talk about the relationship portion, and there's so many relationships that local and afar that I've met as a result of my relationship with you. And Allison was one of those. I don't know if you had a chance, but she was our guest last week. And Zan, what a phenomenal story. Well,
I was going to tell your listeners, that was a master class in success. if they can stop listening to us and go back to last week's session, I think you said it released last week. You gave me an advanced copy. That's the best thing I've heard in a long time.
Well, thank you. But all I did was just ask questions. She is.
Yeah, but you asked the right question.
She is. It's just a phenomenal story, and to me, the impact part. I know whoever listens to anybody you listen to or I do, you and I can listen to the same thing, and if we debriefed afterwards, actually had an honest conversation about our takeaways, there would probably be the same ones, but you may have something that impacted you or related to you more than me, and vice versa. And I loved when you look at the pillars of Innergator, you can see she is a true example, or better put, she is evidence that what we're talking about does work when you apply it. But what I walked away with was, after everything she's been through, the impact that she's able to have today, and really not we're not talking 30 years, we're talking a short period of time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I tell you, when I talk about the ability to be able to optimize and leverage relationships, I appreciate our relationship for a lot of things, but the people you've introduced me to have been phenomenal. So thank you for that. Do what?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do me a favor. I know you probably as well as anybody, and I could probably tell some stories that you don't want me to. Yeah, but I know you and I have been on boats together. We've been on stage together. We've been in meetings together. We've been at lunch together, and we've been hunting together. We have been on more calls, brainstorming. And I think we think a lot alike, and I love the fact that we help each other think and look at things differently. But I don't know that everybody that is listening to this knows. They may have heard your name, but they don't know who Zan Monroe is. You've got a couple of great books out there. I think you're working on another one, but if you don't mind, take a look. You have permission to talk about yourself for a minute, and that's not something you do very well. Every time I ask you about you, you flip it on me. Today, you don't get to do that.
Well, I'll start with, I'm just a country boy from eastern North Carolina.
Yep.
So the short version is my daddy died 4 days before I turned 11 years old. And I became the man of the family. I had 3 older sisters and my mother on a farm. And I learned quickly that I was the only male on the farm. I mean, the cows were female, the horses were, the dogs, everything on that farm was female. So, I became the man of the family early, and it was the worst thing that ever happened in my life. It was also the best thing that ever happened because it made me who I am. I mean, at 12, 14 years old, I mean, if the tractor went down, Mama would look at me and go, you got to fix it or figure out what's wrong. And you had to figure it out. So my whole life's been, well, let's figure it out. And so I grew up on the farm. I started my first business at the age of 16, formal business. I was raised in a very entrepreneurial world. My mother and that whole generation was entrepreneurs. So I started my first formal business at 16, teaching people to swim and play tennis. That blew into building a Cloverfield tennis and swim complex. As I got out of college at the age of 20, we had to wait till I turned 21 to incorporate, because you can't own a corporation before you're 21. Ran it 10 years, did land development. We'd always been in the building and real estate industry, so I was doing land development, doing a little bit of building during that period, and then sold the club, got into real estate formally as an agent, manager, owner, broker, did it all, and ran companies, ran one of the biggest building and development companies in town. And all along I was teaching real estate because I'm a teacher. And one of the things I learned early in life was my central purpose is to teach. My wife laughs at me. We can be out and I can learn something. I got to teach it to somebody within the next 3 or 4 minutes. But so I've written a couple of books, Stories of Uncle Adrian, and then 7 Lessons for Success. And I'm working on one now called Building Leaders. And we're going to build a house and build an organization. The footings and the foundation are the beliefs and the culture. The framing is the people, and the wiring is the communication. So we'll get to use my housing background on that. And then I get to travel around and speak and meet people and consult all through the real estate industry, mainly. some universities and other businesses, but mainly in the real estate world. So, which includes everything: mortgage, insurance, title, housing, construction, all of that. So it's been a fun adventure, and along the way you and I started, I'll tell them that, one of your very first speaking gigs was with me, and I was young in the business. You and I did a presentation at the library on how to buy
Cliffdale
houses
Road
and how to mortgage them. Yeah, Cliffdale Road Library. So you and I have been playing for years.
Yeah, but the difference is, Zan, back then, and this is telling of our age, Zan Monroe walks in and he's prepared. Aubrey Wright walks in and he thought he was prepared because we had those big flip charts back then, and I had written everything out and all. But I think they make coffee thermoses better today because, and I was driving my little car across town and got there and realized that the coffee had poured all over my presentation, and I was not experienced enough in the speaking realm today you kind of roll with the punches, right? You do something every day, you get good at it. I had not done it every day. And so Zan goes on to greatness. I mean, Zan is all over the country speaking, and I was stuck in my office for a long time after that. But it was the start of one of my and I don't say this often, but probably cherished relationships. In fact, you may not believe this, but sitting on my desk right now while I'm talking to you, and it's here every day, is actually your business card. And I got it propped up on a wall I've got a huge 55-inch screen I use for a monitor, and it's propped up under that. And the reason I do that is I look at that and it reminds me of a lesson that you gave me a long time ago. And I say it all the time. And then I'll get into what we're going to talk about in a second. But since we're talking about this, you told me a long time ago that the word inspiration means to breathe life into. So when you had a goal that you hit. Originally, I think it was inspire 1 million people, and then it was inspire beyond. And so that is something that has stuck with me since you told me that. So your business card, I don't use business cards anymore, but yours is sitting right there as a reminder that my deal today is I've got to be able to inspire somebody. So just know that I got your number memorized. I got your phone number memorized. It's one of the few. It's not just a button I push. I've dialed your number so many times, I've got it memorized. I know your email address, and I know what you look like. But I have that there because your arms are crossed with your red tie on staring at me, and you're saying, RB, did you inspire somebody today, and did they get it? So just know, you're the only card that's on my desk. So and I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you so you know that I'm not just making that up. So and
you and I had this conversation before we came on the show, and you can say all those accolades and all those things and all these places you've been and done and seen. You're just a person.
Yeah,
you're just a guy. I mean, I'm just a guy. You're just a guy. We just have taken the opportunities. I always tell my wife, I said, doors open all the time around you. There's the opportunities open up for people all the time. But you've got to walk through that door. Just because the door of opportunity opens doesn't mean you're going to be famous. You got to walk through that door.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stay in your desk or hide in the garage and don't walk through that door, you never get that opportunity. So, I mean, you and I both have had opportunities that if we rewound back to when we were kids, you go, really? I could do all these things? Well, yeah, the opportunities are going to be there, but you got to walk through that door.
Zan, this was not at all what I was going to talk to you about. That never seems to fit. I got to ask you something on that.
All right.
This week I was sharing with you, I'm going to be talking with a few hundred people on some things. And
Yeah.
One of the pieces is, I believe, the mindset of a top performer. It doesn't matter if you're a mortgage banker, real estate agent, insurance agent, a car salesman, or a mechanic. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
I mean, in today's world, you got a certain number of vehicles you're trying to get through, right? But when you look at getting to the next level versus being in your comfort zone, I told you, Jennifer told me that in that tournament, you can't be committed to your comfort zone and your goals at the same time. When you're looking at being able to see that door open, you see it open. Most people, it's not that they don't see it, they ignore it. What causes that fear, Zan? What is it that holds people back from that?
Oh, my daddy would say the greatest unexplored territory on the universe is underneath a man's hat. Because your mind is holding you back, or a woman's hat. We prevent ourselves from achieving. And again, like I say, that we should have recorded the first hour of this conversation. I told Allison Blanchard this after y'all recorded that last session, and I listened to it. I told her, I said, drives me nuts to talk to Brian because I get off the phone and go, oh, I got to do better at what I do. I mean, Brian's like, I got to do better. And then she goes, well, that's how it is talking to you. I said, well, yeah, that's my job. But every time you and I get together, I finish and I go, I got to do better. I mean, I got to just do better. Well, most people are too afraid of their own failure to go out there and screw it up.
Yeah.
And I've made a career out of going out there and screwing it up. I mean, my staff, I told my staff almost daily, I go, if you're not screwing stuff up, you're not doing your job. That means you're not pushing the envelope. You're not trying things you've never done before. And I know you and I wanted to talk about trends today and how to recognize them. But if you're thinking you can do the same thing over and over and over again for the rest of your life, you got to rethink that, because the world is moving and shifting and changing. And if you're not moving and changing with the world around you, you're getting behind.
Zan, there's 100 different thoughts that run through my mind right now. One of them, I had a guy in my came by the shop last weekend. When I say shop, you've been to what we affectionately call the swamp, and you know that I've got a spot down there. I like to tinker and build my lures, and where they're at today, some of them look really, really good. And
yes, they do.
A guy came in and goes, RB, these look good, man. He said, how long have you been doing this? How did this happen? Well, I reached into a drawer and I pulled out the first lure that I ever made. And it looks like something that, a 4-year-old made out of clay. It looks horrible. I look at it with a lot of pride, because I look at it and say, you know what, I could have, in my mind, I had it looking like what you see today, but this is what came out. And I had a choice to make right then. Do I give up, or do I make small tweaks and keep working at the craft till I could get it to where I want it to be? So whether it's building a lure, whether it's doing yard work, selling real estate, writing mortgage loans, recruiting, whatever it is that you do, if you expect to walk out day one and be a professional, to be an expert, you're setting yourself up. And the best thing to do is say, okay, you know what? I'm going to see where I'm at today. And then I'm going to look at it and say, what do I need? You learn from that. Part of what we talk about, the reset and reflect, is not just looking at what you did right. It is, what did I do that I need to improve? So I did not mean to get on that tangent, but I can't help it when I'm with you. So I appreciate that greatly. One of the things that you just mentioned was the trends, and the reason that was on my mind. There's a lot of things, but you just recently, Zan and I share each other's recordings with each other. A, for feedback, and B, when Zan sends me something, I'm riding down the road, I take the time to listen to every bit of it, because I'm going to hopefully learn something I didn't know prior. But you were talking about trends, specifically, I think, with real estate. But let's talk about, you've been doing a lot of research on some things, but let's talk about trends, and no matter what your role is in life, what it is that you do, whatever your calling is, talk about how to identify trends, the importance of trends, and kind of your philosophy on that.
Well, I've always said to myself, I'm a big picture person. I like to see from 10,000 feet what's going on. And when you come back to how can I keep up with the rapid changes that are going on in our world today with artificial intelligence and the communications and all of that, you need to train yourself to begin to see trends. And trends are all around us. We just don't pay attention. And I'll use you as an example. You got a new puppy.
Yes, we did. It's like having a 2-year-old in the house.
Yeah, you got a new puppy. He came in at what do you weigh? 10 pounds, 15 pounds when you got him?
So he was, he was 32 when he came in at 12 weeks.
Yeah. And how big is he now?
56 pounds, and he's 5 months old.
Yeah. He's doubled in size. That's a trend.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't see it, because every day you feed him, and every day you throw the ball with him, and every day, is it Jake?
Riggs.
Riggs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to name him Jake. I was not allowed to, but Riggs.
No. Yeah, I like that. But you don't see that trend because it changes so slowly in front of you. But I will see it when I come and look at the dog and go, oh my God, he's grown.
A beast. Yeah.
So think about your kids. They change in front of you, but I go see my grandchilds, and you go, wow, you've grown 3 or 4, and their mama will go, well, is she? Yeah, she's growing, because that trend. Well, the world is shifting. Now the question, can you track it? Can you pay attention to the trends? And I always use an example of the lily pond. So let's say every morning you go for a walk, and you walk around this little lake, and in the spring, lily pads begin to grow. So in the first day, there's 1 lily pad, and lily pads double every day. So on the second day, there's 2, and then there's 4, and then there's 8, 16, 32, 128. They all grow. But when will you notice them? Most people won't notice them early. And let's say that it takes 30 days and the lily pads have completely covered the lake, which means on the 29th day, the lake's half full, and on the 28th day, it's a quarter full.
So I'm going to stop you just a second, because a couple things I need you to know. I've validated. I'm smiling right now. I had one other time in my life I had heard the lily pad story, and I had been to ponds that were covered, growing up bass fishing, and I can remember going and thinking, man, I didn't think there was this many lily pads here last week. you know. And so I validated through 2 or 3 sources, and I'm not talking about people I know. I'm talking about, I did some research that they double every day. Mm-hmm. And so the thing about it that I love about this analogy is when you notice it half full, and then you come back today and the whole pond's covered, it's too late, Zan. It's too late.
Oh, yeah.
So your whole premise and what I picked up on was, how do you identify trends early? And folks, for the record, we're not just talking, and I'm not just talking about business trends, sales trends. Okay. Your look at your personal finances. All the things that we talk about. If you measure it every day and you're able to manage it, you can identify the trends that are either going to help you be extremely successful in that area, or the trends that are going to be like the lily pad and overtake you. Does that make sense, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the first keys. You got to measure. I love your quote. I use it all the time. I'm going to steal it and put it in my next book. If you can measure it, you can manage it. If you can manage it, you can perfect it. Well, if you can measure it, then that's where people don't measure. So I had a friend a few years ago, and I said, "So what you going to do this year that's cool?" And he goes, "This year I want to play more golf." I said, "Well, that's great. How much golf did you play last year?" "Huh?" I said, "How much golf did you play last?" "Oh, I don't know. A bunch." "Well, how will you know if you've played more this year?" "Well, you gotta count. You gotta track." And most people don't want to track their life, their diet, their food, their exercise.
It's a lot of work, Zan. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes. I mean, my wife is counting calories. She's lost a bunch of weight. Looks fabulous, and I'm on the couch with her after dinner, and it takes her like 30 seconds to load her calories into her little app on her phone. Your wife is a workout phenomenon. Mm-hmm. I mean, she is as much in shape as any human I have ever met, and she tracks. She counts, and you count business. I do too, but you've got to measure what's going on around you, because just like the weight of your puppy, if you didn't weigh him, you just go, "Well, he's getting bigger," but you don't know the trend. So
I'm going to take this just a second and tell you that for Christmas, Jennifer said, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, I don't know. She goes, "Is there anything you need?" And I was like, "Babe, if I want something, I usually just get it. But you know something?" Because she is a big research person. I said, "I want a book that when I get back from fishing tournaments, or just fishing for myself, that I can write down everything from that day. I mean, I don't want to have to. I want this information to be in it." So here's what she had made for me. She had this book made. It's in this cool leather. It's like a leather journal. And when I walk in, I can put down the date. I can put down the temperature, the water temperature, the tide, the wind, lunar information, sun information, water clarity, baits that I used, live bait, artificial, what they were, the depth of the water I was in, all these things. I mean, more detail than probably most people would have. But what I started realizing, and I started using it. Yeah. When I look and see the weather and the water temperature is going to be pretty comparable, and the water clarities, I know exactly what I need to use and where I need to go.
Yep.
Now, used to when I'd fish, I'd say, I caught fish here before, but the thing I couldn't tell you was what the tide was doing, right? What
Yep.
just like you would fly fishing, you don't know what, I mean, if you don't know what the hatch is, what
Yep.
fly are you going to use? So I know that may make it very, very simple, and to some people it may complicate the joy of fishing, but I guarantee you my results are going to be better because I identified the trends and applied it. And that's
Yeah.
to fishing. Imagine what it does to your money. Imagine what it does to your business.
Well, and to your life and your
To your
health and
life. Yeah,
everything
exactly.
else. Because you have trends in everything you do. To go back to knowing the conditions, years ago, I took my family to Abaco and we went bone fishing.
Mm-hmm. That's a
And I'm
dream.
out
That's
with
a dream of mine. That's a dream of mine,
well,
Zan.
and I had a guide who turned out to be a famous guide. I'm trying to think of his name right now. His daddy set the world record for um, bonefish, the largest bonefish ever caught. But we're fishing. I mean, we're wading waist deep in the water. I can see bonefish in front of me. We're fly fishing for them. The guide's telling me where to cast, where to cast, where to cast. We've been out there, and he goes, "Oh, we're done." I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "We're done." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The tide just turned."
Hmm.
I said, "That quick?" He said, "Oh, yes." He said, "The minute the tide turns, they quit feeding." And we got back in the boat. We were done. And I was like, "That quickly?" He goes, "That fish knows the minute the tide turns." That's understanding the trend.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a
in
great
your
example.
Yeah, I mean, and you do the same thing. People laugh when I tell them about you and me because you're at the coast fishing in a boat with giant fish and giant rods, and I'm in a stream that's 6 inches deep trying to catch a 6 inch trout on a fly that I can't even see. And it's the same principle. You've got to understand what the surrounding trend is that's going to
Yeah, you think about it. Some of those rivers and creeks, they control. I mean, there's dams that control that water flow, or heavy rains that all that water is coming off the mountain. So that 6 inch creek, all of a sudden, when it's 18 inches deep, I can tell you the fish are going to react differently. And folks, we're not trying to simplify this and talk about fishing, but I believe everybody knows I'm a captain here. I love to fish, but I think that there are so many life lessons in fishing, and understanding the trends is one that I've never really talked about. But is true, and that 6 inch creek versus when that water is 18 to 24 inches, the reaction and the bite's going to be completely. Your approach has to be completely different, and it's the same thing in business and life.
So let's do it. Can I do a trend that everybody needs to be paying attention to?
Please.
Artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
See, I talk to people. I am not an early adopter of anything. I'm an observer. I sit back in the corner and I go, yeah, this is kind of cool. And artificial intelligence has been around for years, and it's been growing and it's been changing, and you hear a lot about it. And you pushed me because you explained some of the things that you were doing, and I went, have some speaking friends, and we do a retreat, and guess what we do on our retreat? We go fishing. But they gave me a couple of books, and so the trend of artificial intelligence, the lily pad trend of artificial intelligence, this lake is going to be full here pretty quick.
If it's not already.
Now, here's the problem. Everybody is using it wrong. You're not. I'm not. But everybody is using it to, the best example, they're driving a Ferrari to the grocery store.
Yep.
If you think of artificial intelligence as your new employee, as your executive assistant that has a degree from Harvard and MIT and the University of North Carolina and Duke University in different disciplines, artificial intelligence can become a thought partner with you. Instead of using it to write emails or draw a picture of yourself in caricature, which, comes and goes, if you used it to say, Zan, why are you doing it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Or to rethink what you're doing and to use it as a, if you could have Brian Wright come into your office every morning and go, why are you doing that way? Why don't you do it this way? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about that? If you had Brian Wright or Zan Monroe or some, professional coach to come into your world, your wife to come into to train people, if you had an expert, well, you do. It's called artificial intelligence. Now the problem is you got to be smart enough to use it and use it correctly. And I can tell you, you use it a lot more than I do. I look at it and go, I should stop and use artificial intelligence to help me think through this process. Well, that's the key. So one of the big trends that you cannot ignore is artificial intelligence. And it's, the numbers are just staggering. The first quarter of 2025, we spent $88 billion with a B to build data centers to help artificial intelligence grow. I mean, those industries did. You and I didn't spend it, but it was spent. It was 1% of the gross domestic product of the United States.
It's crazy.
That's how big this is. This trend is not going to go away. So, one of the trends that people need to be looking at is artificial intelligence.
So, I don't mean to cut you off, but AI, when I first saw, we were talking a while ago about opportunity in the door.
Yeah.
It was a little scary to me. Part of it was intimidating, right? It's intimidating. Two, not understanding that it's not here to replace me. It's here to increase if used properly, it increases my capacity. That I have become over the last 90 days. I've always felt pretty good about my routine and my schedule, and I got stuff done. Zan, the amount of stuff I'm able to get done today as a result of AI has been amazing. Part of it was, for me, being able to look at it and instead of working as a doer, working as a director. You said, and you got to know how to talk to it. You got to know how to put the prompts in. You got to be very specific in your questions. But you said, the Ferrari to the grocery store. A lot of people use AI, and they think it's the coolest thing in the world. Well, let me ask Grok. Let me ask Chat GPT, and it's, what temperature should I cook my steak to? Well, right. You can Google that, right? When I look at it, and I actually name mine Charlie. That way, I use the voice interaction with the microphone, and I can interrupt, and she picks up. Just like when I'm talking to you, if you say something and it triggers a thought, I'm going to say something to you, she stops, and she turns around, and she responds to that. The coolest thing that I've been able to figure out is and I think I've shared this with you, was the red team. When I say, I'll say,
explain that to me.
Yeah, so I'll have this thought. Look, we've got Jennifer and I have a small lure business. We've got a small duck call, which is really cool. I need to tell you about that sometime. Business. Yeah. We've got 3 or 4 different things that we do. outside of everyday life. Now, I give her credit. She manages a lot of that stuff. But the AI portion, the directing portion, I'll sit down and maybe I'm on a plane or it's at night or weekend in the office here, and I will be having my conversation. This is what I'm trying to do. I need you to work as I need you to think like a lawyer. I need you to think like a sales consultant. I need you to think like a marketer, whatever role it is. I identify their role first. Tell them what I'm trying to accomplish. They go through my apps and all this stuff. They build out what I'm looking for. And then I'll just say, Charlie, let's red team this. Military term that looks at it and says, all right, let's punch some holes in this. You've looked at the best case scenario to start off with. Now let's look at is if you do it this way, where are the cons? What are the potential roadblocks that you're going to come into? And if you know what they are ahead of time, you know how to avoid them, right? If you know the potholes on Main Street or there's road construction on Main Street, why don't you turn down front, turn left on second, come back up first and bypass all that? The red team concept, Charlie, what I've named it, will go through and identify it doesn't tell me what I want to hear. Your term that you told me a month or so ago when we were meeting with the owners of real estate companies, you used that term thought partner, and I wrote it down with the other 17 pages notes I took from you when you were talking. But the thought partner piece describes it perfectly. That whatever your mindset is, your idea is, to be able to look at all 8 sides of the pros, the cons. You miss this, or it will actually say to me, RB, that's a great idea. However, you may want to go this way. It's Zan, and here's when I said to you, it may already be here. Every aspect of my life, if I call Odyssey Mechanical, and it drove me crazy for a long time, it would say, "Thank you for calling Odyssey Mechanical. This is Alyssa. I'm the virtual assistant. How can I help you today?" At first, I thought this is a voice prompt thing. I talk to Alyssa like I'm having a conversation, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's in your, when you're checking out at the grocery store. They still haven't, even though I do all my checkout, they still haven't invited me to a Christmas party yet, Zan. I do all my self-checkout. They haven't invited me to a Christmas party.
That's right. It's the employee Christmas party.
It's in every aspect. Your vehicles today, my editing software I use, what we do at Union, I mean, it is everywhere. And if you have not you're using it whether you know it or not. And if you haven't adapted to it and started using it as a thought partner and as a resource more than a Google or web search, you're going to miss the boat. The door of opportunity is there. You've got to walk in that thing and bust it down wide open.
Yeah, you got to start thinking of it like an executive assistant. That's brilliant. And I get when I speak on artificial intelligence now, I get this question: well, which one should I use? I don't have a clue. I don't care. I don't care which one you use. If you use it, you'll learn. Yeah. And if you don't like it, go find another one, because there's gobs of them out there. Well,
I can tell you the primary one, I started with Grok, and there's some things about it I just didn't like. That's just a personal preference. I broke down, and I'm a pro level with Chat GPT. But in a conversation with Chat GPT, I said, there's something I want to do. Are there other I asked her, and the voice is a girl, and I named it Charlie, right? So, because it's Chat GPT. So I said, Charlie, are there other, and I don't remember the right term, but AI mechanisms, maybe what I said, that do a better job at what I'm trying to accomplish here than you're able to do? And came back and it introduced me to another one. I did some research on it before I went to it, and I'm able to integrate the two, which was kind of cool. But it's that one is more for building websites, for the coding at a different level than Chat GPT does. So the answer to that question, when people ask you, hey, what's the best one, was really, what is your application? What is it that you're looking for, right? And so for me, it's more of a productivity than an entertainment. It's a productivity piece. And I want it actually thinks the way that I do now. I've used it so much, it will actually go back and remind me of something I said 3 weeks ago. And it has become thought partner, executive assistant, and it's helped me control my calendar, which I believe you've got to control your calendar. We all have 24 hours in a day, and it's helping me get more out of that. One of the coolest things is I was doing a brief conversation. I can't even remember where I was at. It was Columbus or someplace. And I put in there, hey, look, these are what the topics have been all day. I need a 2-minute close. Can you give me bullet points of some thoughts? And within 37 seconds, I had about 15. I only needed a couple. I had about 15 bullet points. And it said at the end of it, which I thought was really cool, RB, I know you don't have enough time to talk about all of these. However, the first two seem to be the one that were most of the conversation. You may want to hit on those. If you drop down to number 7, it can emphasize number 1. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, out of the 14, 15 items that came up, 10 of them I probably could have thought about just writing down. The other 5 gave it a different perspective. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. And Zan, it works 24 hours a day. I don't have to pay it more than my monthly subscription. It doesn't charge me for overtime, and it gets it done. Yep. And then I can go back and say, I don't like the way you did that. You missed it here, and it doesn't think that I'm being mean or I've hurt its feelings. It says, you know what, you're probably right. Let me go back and look at that.
Yeah. Now, I will tell your listeners one thing. When you sign up, make sure you go into the your personal documents, your security level, and say, do not share any of my information, or don't take it into the public domain, because if you give it your company's balance sheet or your company's 5-year plan, that goes immediately into the public domain. But you can tell it, no, anything I give you stays with me.
It's me and Charlie.
You don't share it out to the rest of the world. You don't use it to teach the rest of the world. So, you don't want your personal, and you still have to be careful not to tell it truly personal things. But, this is one of the trends that is here. And the lily pads are, doubling every day. Artificial intelligence, there's some books you should read. And that's another way to recognize the trends. Keep up with the writers and what they're writing. I know you read. Are you still reading as much as you used to? Book about every other week?
Yeah, I believe fully that, Grant Cardone was right. You got a 52-1 advantage of your competition if you read a book a week. So I'm still averaging about 26 a year. And right now, I don't have it in here. I'm trying to, a guy named Dan Martell, I believe. He's the AI guy that I really have been following. I love this guy. But he's got a book, Buy Your Time Back, Get Your Time Back, or something along that line, that deals with with AI. And It's that's the one I'm in the middle of right now. One thing I was going to tell you on the real estate side that I saw, and that was actually Dan. I was watching one of his videos. You're a real estate agent. You're a buyer's agent, and you think about this. And I'm the buyer's agent. Zan, I'm showing you a house. Okay, say it's a house here in Topsail area. You look at the house, you like the house, and you want some more information of it. I can go into AI. I can get every bit of information I need on the property, but I also can have it, when it shows the pictures of the house, go to your social media, pull off pictures of you and your family, and as people are looking at the house, they may see your dog. You may see your dog laying on the or out in the backyard. On the wall, you see a picture of your family. All of a sudden, it allows them to visualize themselves in that house. And you did that in 37 seconds.
Yes.
You talk about a close. You talk about a close. I mean, that is using AI to help people visualize what it actually would be like if they were in that house.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
And most people can't visualize things. So when you can show them, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It always has been. 3/4 of us are visual learners. When we see it, we believe it. And we could spend a whole session on the real estate industry and how it's dramatically changing all of that. But to circle back to your topic on trends, just reading, paying attention. One of the biggest book series that ever helped me with trending was written in the late 1990s and early 2000s called Mega Trends. And this guy worked for the military. He worked as a military intelligence officer, and they read headlines all over the world to pick up trends. So you don't have to read the article, just read the headlines. You're seeing the trends right in front of you. Now, 90% of it's clickbait. It's it's not real, but those are the trends we're involved with. So, just absorbing information, and then I'll come back to Gatorizing your day. At the end of a day, you said that to reflect and reset. Take some time at the end of each and every day to go, what did I do today? What did I do right? What happened? Where did I go? What did I learn? Like you said, who did I inspire? Who inspired me? And then how are we going to take that forward to tomorrow? Because I'm going to be a different person tomorrow. You're going to be a different person tomorrow. The world will be a different place. That trend is moving us all to a new place. How do I step up into my new role tomorrow? And if I'd had all this information when I was a young person, man, this is some good stuff.
That is, the thing about it that you just hit on indirectly is that the trends are taking place. The pond is filling up with lily pads, but most people are going through their day and have no clue what's happening around them. And you've got to be acutely aware to what is happening and the direction it's going. Otherwise, you're going to get passed by. So, Zan, I appreciate you hitting on that. Do me one last. I always love talking to you. Do me one more favor. If I went to zanmonroe.com, zanmonroe.com, am I able to find stories of Uncle Adrian? Am I able to find the 7 lessons for success? Tell me about what I can find on your website. Well,
you can find information. I do personal coaching, group coaching, I do. You can find all my books and recordings. I've got a couple of big events coming up. I hadn't even told you about these. In June, I'm going to do an event for about 10 real estate agents called The Habits of Highly Successful Agents. It'll be in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And then in July, I'm going to teach a 2-day event on doing presentations. If you do presentations for your work, or for you like to be on stage and do presentations for large audiences, we're going to teach you that. So people can go zanmonroe.com, find all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, I can tell you, I know that you update things, but I've said in a couple of your sessions over the years in presentations, and when I get the opportunity to present quite a bit, but I can tell you that a lot of the flow, the style, the ability to be able to connect is a direct result of being a part of those sessions and around you. Those of you that don't know Zan, if you ever get on the opportunity to hear him speak, you will walk away inspired and looking at the world differently. If you are someone who is speaking today, or someone who aspires to do that, I highly recommend and endorse you being a part of that session in July. Zan, you know, I said it earlier and don't say it often, I cherish our friendship. You appreciate everything that you have inspired me to do, but I really appreciate the fact that you spent some time with us today.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and anytime I can spend time with RB, whether it's on the phone or on the boat or in a trout stream, we will.
Well, we've talked about it for a little bit. Things are going to be slowing down in probably the next 30 days or so. Need you and Cameron, if he's available, come stay down here at the coast with us, and let's go fish, man. I would have loved. And here's the thing: people don't know this. When we're fishing, we're talking about the fish, but the conversation that we just had, that's pretty much the conversation that we have anyway.
Have all day,
baby.
We get all day.
Well, tell Laura we said hello. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I look forward to connecting you with soon.
My pleasure, RB. Always a pleasure.
All right, buddy. See you.
See you.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Finding Your Innergator podcast. You know, if today's episode helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, greatness is achieved through discipline, intentional action, and optimizing the relationships around you. I look forward to getting with you next week. Now, go Gatorize your day.